to Nisi's Food Journey, where I will explore my DNA through food. I'll travel back in time all the way to my Neanderthal DNA and feast on the food of my ancestors. Recently, I tested my DNA, and although I know a lot of my family history, there were some surprises. I wasn't too surprised to learn that I, like nearly all people of European descent, have Neanderthal DNA. Neanderthals roamed around Europe 40,000 years ago and eventually interbred with modern humans. I have very little Neanderthal DNA, but this is true of most of us. I still find it fascinating, and that's why I chose my first video to be about my Neanderthal DNA. Neanderthal diets actually aren't very different from ours. Of course, they were hunter-gatherers, and they had a very wide and varied diet consisting of nuts and legumes, seeds, all different kinds of seafood, shellfish, shrimps, lobsters, seals even. Of course, they also ate berries, but the biggest part of their diet was probably meat, and that's where my journey begins. I'm starting with a Dino Ribs. Now, of course, the Neanderthals did not roam the earth the same time as the dinosaurs. That would be ridiculous, but I think a lot of people have this picture in their head that Neanderthals are like Fred Flintstone, and that simply isn't the case. However, I decided to start this journey with giant dinosaur ribs. They're huge beef ribs. And here you'll notice that these beef ribs look a lot like a giant roast, really. What I'm not going to do is take too much fat off the top, because fat, of course, is flavor. But beneath, on the underside, is a silver skin, and you're going to want to remove that. I like to season all of our meats when we grill them really just with salt and pepper. But, of course, you can use really any seasoning you like. At this point, I'm going to go outside and heat my pellet smoker up to 225. Listen to that sizzle. Oh, that's one of the best parts. If you hear a little tip tap here in the background, while I'm doing my voiceover, that is my dog running around. Okay, so you want to do it with no foil initially at 225, but then what I did after about 4 hours was I did go and wrap it in foil, and I inserted a probe thermometer. This is heavy duty foil. Now, before I did this, I did spritz it generously with either apple cider vinegar, or you can use apple juice. Now, after about 8 hours it was done. It came to a temp of about 190, and then I let it rest for about half an hour in the foil. And now you can see, now that it's done, you can see how that meat pulled away from the bones, and now you see those giant bones, and they really look like, I guess, dinosaur bones. That's where it gets the name from. They really do look like proper barbecue ribs now. Look at these things. Pretty soon here, I'm going to go to cut them, and the meat is just, it's pretty much going to fall right off the bone. I almost don't even need a knife. Look at that. Yum. Here I go to cut, and look, that bone is pretty much almost going to fall right off. You're going to see here. And there it goes. These ribs tasted so good. I did this on New Year's Day, January 1st, 2022. This was our New Year's Day feast, and it was so yummy. I'd also like to add, this was the very first time I'd ever grilled by myself. I've helped my husband in the past, but he had to work that day. And I decided the very first time I'm going to grill, I'm tackling dinosaur ribs on a smoker that I've never used before. And everyone agreed I did a pretty good job. My husband was impressed when he came home. My son was very happy. Look how juicy these are. Here you go. Go in for the squeeze. There you go. Very nice. And the littlest taster is going to come up here. There's Brady. There he is. Hi, Brady, our 15-year-old Bichon. He doesn't really get table scraps. It's not good for him, but every now and then he'll get a little bite of some plain chicken. I do believe he got a tiny, tiny bit of this meat. Since we don't put any garlic or onion on it, he can have a little. Bye-bye, Brady. Well, thank you so much for joining me on my food adventure. If I can tackle these ribs my first time out of the gate, so can you. They were easy, they were fun, and boy, were they delicious. My Neanderthal ancestors would be proud. There you go, look at that. Delicious. If you liked this video, could you please go ahead and give me a like and a subscribe? Maybe you could hit that little bell icon so you can be notified of future videos and continue to follow me on my journey.